These are the 7 healthiest foods you should eat regularly every day. And in this video, I will also give you 3 additional foods that will complete your entire diet. Most unhealthy foods on the market raise your insulin, called insulin resistance, which is the root of chronic disease. In other words, most foods that lower insulin are good, and foods that raise insulin are extremely harmful for you. So one common theme in this list will be foods that do not raise your insulin. Okay, let us start with number 1. Now, I am talking about cod liver as a food that is not only good for the heart, but also nutrient-rich and mind-changing. Okay, so what is cod liver? Cod liver is something you can consume from a can. You can buy it online through Amazon or otherwise, but they actually sell cod liver in a can instead of going to the grocery store and trying to find it. You probably will not find it. So cod liver is the liver of the codfish. And cod liver is very unique because out of all foods, including salmon, cod liver has the most omega-3 fatty acids. And omega-3 is very important right now, not just for your heart, just to reduce inflammation, to counter all the high omega-6 fatty acids from seed oils, because omega-3 competes with omega-6. And so a large part of the population consumes about 1/3 of their calories from seed oils. And so we need more omega-3 to balance that. So there are some unique things about cod liver. Okay, first of all, it comes as cod liver oil, another thing with super high omega-3. So you only use a moderate small amount or your gallbladder will feel very heavy. You only eat cod liver in oil and you do not drink the oil. However, if I compare cod liver to salmon, cod liver has more omega-3 and it is also fattier. Doctors put them in the lab and the surprising thing is cod liver has more omega-3 than salmon. Okay, let us move to number 2. Brazil nuts. I do not recommend you consume a lot, 1 or 2 a day. Now, what in the world is special about a Brazil nut? Well, among all foods on planet Earth, Brazil nuts have more selenium than any other food on planet Earth. So the next question is, what is special about selenium? First of all, it can help your thyroid. It helps T4 convert into T3, the active form of thyroid hormone. A lot of people have hypothyroidism. It is not that they do not have enough iodine, it is that they do not have enough selenium, because it is not very common in soil. It is not in food like it used to be. A lot of the fertilizers we use do not allow selenium to get into plants. And if it is not in plants or animals, it will not end up in our bodies. So if you are deficient in selenium, the thyroid is affected first. But second, and this is a big issue, this is huge. If you have watched my video, just double check right now because this is like the most important part of this entire video. What selenium does for your immune system is incredible. Some T cells, especially T helper cells, cannot function without selenium. The T helper cell. That is like the command center of your immune system. That is like the Pentagon for the military. If you do not have high-level control to call for the military to deliver certain weapons against certain pathogens, viruses, and cancer, then you are very vulnerable and prone to problems like AIDS, for example. AIDS is the condition where you do not have an immune system. Do you realize there is a very strong correlation between selenium deficiency and susceptibility to AIDS? And there is also a lot of data that increasing selenium improves complications of AIDS. One of the most common conditions on planet Earth right now is autoimmune diseases, and there are a lot of them. Hashimoto, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, MS. People with these conditions are deficient in selenium or deficient in vitamin D. Both work together. A lot of men and women with low selenium have problems with testosterone. Realize if you are a woman, testosterone turns into estrogen. The estrogen you have comes from testosterone. Also, selenium protects the ovaries to help someone become more fertile. It protects the testes so it can make sperm more mobile. Selenium is also very important in preventing your hair from falling out. And even think about a very common problem with hair loss. That is hair loss. That is an autoimmune disease. Selenium can help a lot with that. Now, there is a toxicity issue with selenium if you have about 20 nuts a day for months. So I only recommend 1 or 2 Brazil nuts per day. Third, wild-caught salmon. Wild-caught is like organic. You get something much better than farm-raised fish because with farmed salmon, sometimes they use antibiotics. Sometimes they will use certain additives that you do not want in that fish. And they also have to use different pigments to color the salmon to make it look pink. But when you consume wild-caught salmon, it is very healthy because it is out in nature. Just 3 ounces of salmon equals 2,000 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids. Now, what are omega-3 fatty acids? It is a combination of 2 things. DHA, which is really good for building your brain and your retina to allow you to see, as well as EPA, a very powerful anti-inflammatory, so whatever it is related to, arthritis, bursitis, tendinitis, inflammation of anything, you want more omega-3 fatty acids. One thing about salmon that I always do is I always eat it with the skin. Okay, the skin has a lot of nutrients, especially right under the skin. You have a lot of omega-3 fatty acids, and you also have other things like collagen. So I really recommend you eat salmon or other fatty fish at least a couple times a week. Fourth, sauerkraut. Do you realize that sauerkraut is one of the most powerful probiotics out there? Better than yogurt, better than kefir, and better than most probiotics you buy from the grocery store. 1 cup of this fermented cabbage provides about 1.9 net carbs, so it has hardly any carbs at all. It is a lot of fiber, but a lot of nutrition. Sauerkraut is the highest vitamin C food out there. In a small cup, you get more than 700 milliliters of vitamin C. That is 10 times the RDA. It is a very easy to digest vegetable. Most people with digestive issues, especially if they have ulcers or gastritis, can consume sauerkraut very easily. Sauerkraut also contains something called glutamine, which actually heals the gut if it is inflamed. Sauerkraut also contains a lot of vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 removes calcium from the soft tissues of the body, including arteries, including calcium buildup in your joints. And so obviously the bacteria in this sauerkraut make vitamin K2. It has not only been studied for anti-cancer properties, but it can also help put this bacteria called H. pylori back into remission. This is the microbe behind ulcers. The real heavy hitter in sauerkraut is something called vitamin U. Its technical name is S-methylmethionine. This specific nutrient heals ulcers. It is very good for inflammation in the stomach, but if you have any kind of ulcer in the stomach, in the small intestine, in the large intestine, it will go in there and it builds up the lining and it actually heals the ulcer. I would just put half a cup or even maybe a cup on your plate, and that is all you need each day. Number 5, I want to talk about hamburgers. Yes, you heard me right. You might think hamburgers are junk food, but not the hamburger at McDonald's. I am talking about a grass-fed hamburger. If you can find organic, that would be even better. But grass-fed hamburger is not only easy to digest, it usually has a little more fat compared to protein. I would not buy the lean one. If you consume lean meat, you will raise insulin a little more compared to if it has more fat with that protein. All the data about red meat that people tell you that it causes cancer or diabetes is completely ridiculous. That is completely not true. In fact, I healed my body with red meat. Number 6, arugula. It is one of the vegetables with very low oxalate. Oxalates can aggravate the joints. They can become kidney stones. But arugula is a very safe vegetable if you are worried about kidney stones. But the big reason you want to consume arugula as a lettuce replacement for your salad is what it can do for the inside of your arteries. It is one of the foods that gives you some of the highest nitric oxide. Okay, now, what is nitric oxide? Nitric oxide is a very special compound that helps create blood vessels to keep blood pressure from going high and helps protect arteries against inflammation. And I am not just talking about circulation around the heart. I am talking about circulation throughout the body. So it is not only good for blood pressure, it is also good for erectile dysfunction. And among all foods, arugula has the most nitric oxide. Another interesting thing about arugula is that it has anti-cancer properties because it is a cruciferous vegetable. Add extra virgin olive oil to arugula. A little nutritional yeast on top will give you B vitamins, amino acids, especially to reduce stress. Extra virgin olive oil. First of all, it will help you extract a lot of phytonutrients from the salad that you put it on if you are going to use arugula or romaine or greens. The way you know it is real extra virgin olive oil is you will feel a little bite sensation in the back of your throat. I consumed olive oil for years and I did not know that because I was consuming probably a blended version, not even real. You just buy it at the grocery store. It is really cheap and there is a lot of corruption with olive oil. they mix it with different things. So you really just need to find a good brand that comes from Spain or Italy or other countries. But I consume a lot of olive oil. It is good for your heart. It is good for your cells. It acts as an anti-inflammatory, an antioxidant, and the phytonutrients are 20 times more powerful than green tea. It is also really good for mitochondria, okay? The little power plants in your cells. It is anti-clotting. Realize this, 90% of heart attacks are related to clots, not plaque. The same with a stroke. So extra virgin olive oil is really important to have in your diet. Now, giving you the snacks. First, cheese. I am talking about quality cheese, full-fat cheese. But cheese is a fermented product, so there are bacteria in it. It is good for your gut. But cheese also contains a lot of vitamin K too. From my perspective, vitamin K2 is an anti-aging vitamin on steroids. It keeps calcium from building up in the soft tissues in your arteries, as well as keeping calcium from building up in your joints. And as you know, as we get older, we calcify, we become very, very stiff, filled with calcium, not only in the joints and arteries, but even in the eyes and other tissues. So we have cheese as a probiotic. It has butyric acid that can help feed our colon cells, and cheese is fermented. It is a high-quality protein. Second, chocolate. Now, I am not talking about processed chocolate. I am talking about dark chocolate. But you can actually do cacao, which is a powder, and you can mix it into something and take it, and I do that too. But sometimes I will have 85% dark chocolate as dessert for the first meal right at lunch. You should not consume chocolate late at night because it has some stimulants. But what is in chocolate is amazing. It contains a lot of polyphenols. It will increase your nitric oxide, that compound that is a vasodilator in the arteries that helps your circulation like arugula. But the more I research this dark chocolate, the more I feel it is very impressive with all the different interesting effects that it has. Finally, L-Reutery yogurt. Now, what is that? There is something very special about L-Reutery yogurt that I want to explain. L-Reutery as a microbe is something that is missing in the general population. And so it is an important bacterium because it helps increase muscle mass. It helps you sleep. It helps increase this hormone called oxytocin. Oxytocin is one of the most powerful hormones that reduces cortisol and stress, and it increases social impulses. But really, it is the bacteria sending a signal through the vagus nerve to our brain to tell something in our brain to make more. It does not actually give you more oxytocin. And all you need is half a cup a day. Most people are eating the opposite of these foods, right? They are eating refined foods. I want you to eat these foods for just 7 days to prove it to yourself. The message I want to send you today is insulin resistance is the root of most chronic diseases. So eat by the principle of lowering insulin with fewer refined carbs, prioritizing good fats, fermented foods, low oxalate vegetables, and protein paired with natural fat. A complete diet does not need to be complicated. Choosing a few nutrient-dense foods is enough to reboot your health. If this message was helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe to follow the next video. Thank you for watching.